If you want to be an everyday millionaire, you got to learn to invest like one. And at Investing Essentials, Dave and I are handing you his complete playbook. Fund selection, 401ks, and wealth planning strategies he's never shared publicly. And it's virtual, so you can join from anywhere. Click the link in the show notes to get your tickets. This episode is brought to you by SmartVestor. Connect with an investing pro near you at RamseySolutions.com/SmartVestor.
Michaela is in San Diego. Hi, Michaela. How are you?
Hi, Dave and Rachel. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
I'm calling in with kind of a two-part question about business cash flow concerns. My husband had worked at this business for over 20 years, and we recently bought it. We took out two personal $50,000 loans to pay the previous owner and to start the business. But now after 2 months, we're feeling a lot of stress in our new marriage, feel like we're only paying debts, not making any progress, and can't breathe anymore. We need guidance on how to manage the cash flow so we can try and get ahead. The monthly business expenses are between $50,000 and $60,000 a month, but the income varies between $40,000 and $70,000 depending on the month. My second question is that
you paid $100,000 for a business that breaks even?
He told us it didn't. He said that it had a significant cash flow, but we are finding that we're only breaking even. He said it's a slow time period right now.
Did you look at previous books of the business, like the last 12 months before you bought it, to see seasonality, if that is true?
He didn't really offer that, and we kind of went on good faith because my husband had worked for him for so long. But I'm realizing now that maybe we should have.
No, not maybe. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You stepped up into a bear trap. What kind of business?
It's an appliance repair business.
What is the $50,000 to $60,000 in overhead on appliance repair?
Mostly it's payroll. There's 6 technicians, but we're also paying for health insurance, rent, software insurance, let's see what else, auto insurance, website, leases on the vehicles, which I don't agree with. But
so the 6 technicians are not working all the time?
Well, there's 3 office staff and 3 technicians. We did used to have 4 technicians and 1 quit during this time frame, so we're trying to hire a new one.
Why would you want more expense?
We're hoping that he can also bring in more income.
And why would you have that hope if you're not already overwhelmed with business?
Yeah.
Are you guys turning down a lot of business?
No, right now they're pretty busy. I think my husband's schedule, he's booked out to next week, so not turning down a lot of business, but we're at least a day or two busy all the time.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing: what you have to ask what must be true for this to work, and so revenues have to go up and expenses have to go down for this to work. That's a basic business premise, right? We all know that. And so that's what you've got to start asking yourself, what can I do to get revenues up and get expenses down? And none of these things are going to be easy. They're all going to be painful. Like your husband's going to be working like all the time. Welcome to being self-employed. And the technicians, you're going to get them to where they're so busy they can't breathe. And then you're going to bump your rates and start charging more. And then you're going to lay off 1 of the 3 office staff or 2, and you're going to be down there doing the books. And then you're going to look at getting rid of these leased trucks and get some old trucks that show up because nobody gives a crap what you're driving if you fix their dishwasher.
Yeah. The hard part is that I'm active duty military, so I can't move there yet.
Okay. All right.
And I'm debating if I should pause my TSP savings to put that money towards the debt. Okay.
Yeah. You guys got to clear this debt, and you got to stop everything and get where you can breathe. But the point is, the more you move into increased revenue and decreased expenses and more margin in your personal budgets, the more there's a light at the end of the tunnel that's not a train. And then you can, the problem with where you are is if you feel like you're stuck there forever, that's an untenable place. That creates unbelievable anxiety. But when you're in a hard time, but you can see your way out doing some hard things, well, the brain will help you do that. That's
Caleb,
a natural.
where is your husband right now living? If you're in San Diego, where is he?
He lives up in the Fresno area.
Okay, and you guys are newly married. How long have you been married?
1 year.
Okay.
Were you deployed or something?
No, we just met living in 2 different locations.
When are you guys planning on being in one location together?
Next year. I retire next year.
Okay. I'm just wondering, does he have this level of stress as well? Because you're the one calling us, and you're not even in the same city with the business.
His stress is easily 2 to 3 times what mine
you are.
is.
And so you're just hearing it. You guys are talking through, and you're like, I'm just going to call and see what they say. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And you don't owe this former owner any money.
We owe him almost $400,000.
Holy moly! You paid $500,000 for a business that doesn't make a profit?
That's why
Fixing
I'm calling.
dishwashers? Oh my gosh, kiddo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got screwed. Wow. Unbelievable.
Okay, so what does she do?
So
we all just
listen, hey, here I can help you with this real quick. Call the former owner and tell him to come get it. Come pick up the keys, buddy. I'm done.
You just walk away
And walk away.
with $100,000 and just pay it off.
Yeah,
as
pay the
consumer tax.
$100,000 off and call that stupid tax. Call him and
Be
tell him
done.
to come get the thing. Screw this.
Oh,
You
no.
got hammered.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a business to be worth $500,000, you need to be making a profit of $150,000 to $200,000 a year, and you ain't going to see that in your lifetime out of this thing.
And I think that's what he told us that it was worth.
Yeah, well, he's a liar.
Okay. Could we ask
And
to see his...
I'll be mean. Can I be mean for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Y'all were dumb on how you did this.
Yeah.
I mean, you believed this guy just because your husband used to work there and he got a paycheck. Instead of actually checking out the freaking numbers. You signed up for a $500,000 trip around the sun and didn't look at a stinking number. Just trust some good old boy.
Yep.
That's like walking in front of somebody Oh, my gosh. Bless your heart. Yeah, you got a mess. This is not going to end well. I'm calling that owner and saying, I can't do this. You sold me a pig and a poke. I'm done with you. And there's no possible way this thing is worth anywhere close to what you sold it to me for. You screwed me. And here, I'm leaving. You can come pick up the pieces. And tell your husband to move to San Diego.
Let him come back,
move to San
work.
Diego with his new beautiful wife and get a job. And then y'all scratch through your stupid $100,000 worth of debt. And when you look back on that, you'll say, that was the dumbest thing we ever did. Cost me $100,000. By the way, I've done dumber things that cost me more than $100,000. But man, I can look at myself in the mirror and go, you were stupid, Dave, when you did that. So yeah, this is not recoverable. I'm turning this over to this guy. I'm serious. You're not going to work your way through $500,000 in debt.
And the seasonality part is interesting of appliances. That I'm like, you're just
dishwashers don't break in the summer more than the winter,
or less than is what he's telling them.
I know that's just absolute bogus. If it was heating and air, maybe we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
there is some come and go on heating and air, but you said appliance repair. Appliances aren't on a schedule for repair. Refrigerators don't go, I'm going to wait till after Christmas to break. They don't do that. So this guy's full of it, and he sold it to you, and he's sitting over there grinning, going, look at these fools sending me checks. No more checks for Bubba. Nope, I'm done.
Okay, so how does that, really quickly?
I'm serious. You're probably going to get yourself sued.
I was going to say, legally, how do you do that?
But the other thing I would do is, when he sues me, then I would countersue him for fraud.
And say you lied. This is verbally, this is what was said.
When you lie to do a business transaction, that's called fraud.
Yeah.
And this guy was fraudulent. He lied about how much money this business makes. I promise you he lied. Way seriously lied. And the dumb part was you believed him. So you're probably going to get sued. You're probably going to have a countersuit, and you definitely got to pay the $100,000 that you borrowed from real people. Oh, geez.
Sorry, Michaela.
Yeah, this is awful. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's give a little bit of recap to talk about how to value and how to purchase a small business. Okay, a small business is a lot of work. I've run one most of my life, and Ramsey today is a $300 million business. It's not that small anymore, but it's at its heart a small business. And I coach about our Entree Leadership team, and I coach about 10,000 small businesses. We'll be with 3,000 people next week at Disney at the Entree Leadership Summit event, teaching leadership and business acumen to small business people. So this is something that we do. It's not just a random guy who gets people out of debt that this poor lady, Michaela, called and had gotten herself into a mess. So it's good for us to, part of what we want to get out of this is to help the individual caller that calls in, but we also want you guys to get a lesson and learn and inspiration from and so forth anytime we take a call on here. And so that's how we decide who we're going to talk to on the air on this show. So backing up then. Number one, small business is all-encompassing. It is the hardest, when you own your own business, it's the hardest boss you'll ever work for. Your boss will work you to death when you're your own boss. It's hard. It is not to be taken on by someone who got married 20 minutes ago. Bad idea. Okay? It's a strain on you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and it's a strain on your family.
The stress of it all.
Yeah. When I started this business, I worked 16 hours a day, 5, 6, 7 days a week. You talk to my wife, Sharon, when Rachel was a little bitty kid and this business was growing up, that she felt like a single mom a lot of times. And she, for all practical purposes, was. That's what a small business is. You don't do that on a weak marriage. You don't do that on a new marriage. And you don't do that when both spouses are not fully engaged. You don't do that when you live in separate cities. So rule number one, violated 2 rules right there, okay, before we get started. Because it's hard, y'all. It's really, really, really hard.
It's a season of grind when you sign up for it.
When you buy a business or you start a business, it's hustle and grind. Hardcore. And that's okay, but know what you're signing up for, and it's not going to make everything better. It's going to make everything worse for a while. And but the idea is we're going to make more money and have control of our destiny, and that makes things better over time. But that's not where it starts. Then the second thing is if you're going to buy a business, you investigate and expose every single number in the business, all the accounting, and particularly the tax returns. Because they may lie on their accounting and they may lie to you, but most of the time the tax returns are going to be some semblance of accurate. And if they say to you, and you're looking at a business, oh, don't pay attention to the tax returns, we actually make more money than that, what they're saying is we are lying to the federal government on our tax returns, committing fraud, but we're trustworthy. That's what they're saying to you. So run away when someone says something like that. Okay? The tax returns are the number. I'd look at least 2 years, but probably 5 years. Yeah. I want to see the trend line of the profits over the last 5 years. And what are the profits they actually paid taxes on? Now, if you take $100,000 and put it into a good mutual fund, you can make 10 or 12% pretty much any year. So if you were going to take $100,000 and buy a high-risk small business where I'm going to have to pour myself out and hustle and grind, you need to make a minimum of a 20% rate of return on your business. Okay? And you need to make probably a 25% rate of return. So here's how that translates in valuing a small business. You look at the net profit after everyone is paid, including the guy that works there that hasn't paid himself. If you weren't working there and you had to hire a manager, you take the manager's salary out and you have the net profit of the real business if you're an absentee investor to determine what kind of actual revenue this business is creating. Because if he's just paying himself and that's all, you're not buying a business, you're just buying a job. You don't need to buy a job. Just go get a job, but don't buy a job. So if it pays $100,000 and that's all it pays, and you can make $100,000 doing something else, well, then don't pay to buy a business that only pays you what you would have made putting up nothing to work for somebody else. So don't buy a job. Instead, after everybody is paid, if I'm living over here in Tennessee and I'm buying this and the thing will operate over there completely, what is the net profit then? And if you want a 25% rate of return, you multiply that number times 4, and that's the value of the business. If you want a 20% rate of return, then you multiply it by 5, and that's the number. So if it made, after everyone was paid, $100,000, it's worth $400,000 or $500,000. If it made $10,000, it's worth $30,000 or $40,000, which means don't buy it.
And it's worth $10,000. That's right. What they should have paid
exactly
for that business
instead of $500,000. If you'd actually looked at this goober's tax returns, you would have seen that after he got paid, the thing had no net profit, which is what they have discovered now that they're running it instead of just working there. The skill of being a technician inside of an organization is different than the skill of owning and operating a business. You can be a very smart graphic artist, a very smart software engineer, a very smart accountant. You can be a very smart anything and not know how to run a business. They're different skill sets, and you have to consider that. So if you're a heat and air guy and you've been working there 20 years and the heat and air guy wants to sell you the heat and air company, you're not qualified to run it yet. You've got some skills. You've got some, metaphorically, tools you need to put in your belt to get ready to run that. Because you can fix an air conditioner doesn't mean you can run a heat and air company. Because you can sell real estate doesn't mean you can run a real estate company. It means you can sell it. That's different. So you've got to consider those things when you're valuing out and deciding, is this an appropriate purchase for me? And then lastly, if you have to borrow money to start all of this, you've increased your risk 100 times. Don't do it. 80% of the small businesses fail in the first 5 years, according to the Small Business Administration, which is really not a trustworthy organization, but it's the only number we've got. 8 out of 10 don't make it. And if you're in the restaurant business, it's 95 out of 100 don't make it. So just because you can cook doesn't mean anybody's going to buy your barbecue. It just means your neighbors liked it when you gave it away. That's all that means. You're not qualified yet to operate a barbecue joint and go $250,000 in an SBA loan, and now we've got Dave's Barbecue. Not so famous Dave's, right?
I was going to say, I think there was a Dave's.
Yeah, that just occurred to me as I said that. Yeah, but see what I'm saying? So that's the thing. You've got to dig into this. If those, and you know why 80% of those companies fail? Those little businesses fail? Cash flow problems. Cash flow problems are created by two things in small business. Not paying your taxes because you're taking all your money home because you didn't have enough money coming in to eat, and now you're starving to death, and so you don't pay your taxes, you don't pay your quarterlies, or worse than that, you don't turn in the withholding, and if you don't pay your 142s, they're going to come get you forever. That's not bankruptable. You're going to get it. That's the withholding numbers, okay, on your employees. You have to turn that money in. You can't keep that money. Wow. And guess what the other thing that causes cash flow problems is? The debt. When you went and borrowed money to start and run this business. And so one of my friends is sitting out here, and he paid off $500,000 on his business, and that means he's the exception of the rule. He made it out alive. Most people don't make it out alive when they do that. They don't make it. Don't sign up for that trip. It's not worth taking.